Hello everyone, this is Sendhil from Pondicherry University, and I'll be talking for a couple of minutes about predicting farmer uptake of innovation on biofortified wheat variety for seed production in India. So I've organized the presentation under four heads: rational to set the stage for the presentation, next highlighting the tools and techniques for data analysis, followed by presenting the salient research findings, and finally concluding the remarks with the take-home message. Well, everyone knows that Indian agriculture has achieved a phenomenal growth since independence, and food grain production has increased from around 51 million tons to 315 million tons between 1951 and 2022. This bumper food grain production is mainly attributed to cultivating high-yielding varieties and other technological interventions. Though India has achieved record food grain production in the recent past, in the race for more production, due care was not given to nutrition-related parameters, leading to malnutrition in the country. This issue has raised serious concern, especially in developing countries, as more than 20% of the Indian population lives in poverty, out of which 15% are undernourished. This scenario, unbalanced food consumption, has affected millions of Indian people, leading to poor health and socioeconomic conditions in the country. So among the available strategies, biofortification is considered as a promising tool to tackle micronutrient deficiency. So in this context, we predicted the farmers' uptake on biofortified wheat varieties in India for seed production. So in this study, we used a multi-stage random sampling technique for collecting the data from purposely selected two states, namely Haryana and Punjab. States were purposely selected wherein farmers exhibited a high inclination to seed production. Then the primary data were collected from 100 farmers in Haryana and Punjab states to predict the adoption level of biofortified wheat variety for seed production. The table on this slide shows the sampling structure followed in the study, and the data pertains to 2021 crop season. The major challenge in such studies, that is adoption studies, is the model selection to understand the farmers' adoption behavior. Although several approaches were established to enable profound knowledge of the technology adoption behavior, these frameworks mostly deal with the qualitative outcomes. But the study of relational behavior of the farmers need onerous approaches that plead to study the adoption behavior with quantitative data. So with this background, we used ADOPT, that is the Adoption and Diffusion Outcome Prediction Tool developed by the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization based at Australia for predicting the farmers' uptake of innovation on biofortified wheat varieties in India for seed production. The software has been supplemented with the data on 22 variables across 4 components that most often have substantial, predictable, consistent factors that influence on adoption. So in this study, we used tabular analysis, graphical analysis, and sensitivity analysis to present the research findings. Through ADOPT, the wheat producer's uptake of biofortified variety has been predicted under the framework depicted in this slide. The 4 components that were considered for adoption of uptake are given here. That is, the first one is the relative advantage for the farming population. The second one is the learnability characteristics of the innovation. Third one is the population-specific influences on the ability to learn about the practice. And the fourth one is the relative advantage of the technology. So the data were collected on these aspects from the wheat farmers using the current level of knowledge. Subsequently, ex-ante predictions were made using the ADOPT model. So technology adoption and diffusion are influenced by several factors, namely socioeconomic factors, psychological factors, and apart from that, internal and external factors also have some influence. So in agriculture, to reach the adoption and diffusion peak level, for instance, varieties will take more extended period. A sufficient time is required to realize the potential benefit of the technology. So in our case, it is biofortified wheat variety. So in this case, particularly for Haryana state, the period about near peak adoption level was estimated as 7 years, with the peak adoption reaching a maximum of 98% of the population. So on the contrary, in Punjab, a state which is well known for being a pioneer in adopting agricultural technology, the time to near peak adoption level was estimated to be 18 years, with peak adoption reaching only 2% of the population. The possible reason for higher uptake in Haryana could be the higher level of awareness among the farmers while executing the seed village project. However, despite the respondents being wheat growers in Punjab, a low level of uptake of biofortified wheat variety was witnessed, which might be due to the lack of interest or awareness among them with respect to the biofortified variety. And apart from that, it doesn't fetch any premium price in the market. The predictive values concerning peak adoption level and time to peak adoption level are numeric results given by ADOPT to assist the researcher with a better insight and understanding. Similar to any other estimation, these predicted values of adoption levels should be used carefully. In the results, the near peak adoption denotes the time to achieve 99% of the maximum expected level with respect to technology adoption. ADOPT also gives the predicted adoption rates for the intended technology. That is, in our case, it is biofortified wheat variety for 5 years as well as 10 years from the start of the adoption. So apart from this, the time to 50% of the peak adoption also is given. The results indicate that the time to 50% of the peak adoption is attained at 3 years in the case of Haryana, but for Punjab it is only 7.8 years. Similarly, the adoption at 5 and 10 years from the start has been predicted respectively at 87% and 98% for Haryana and 0% and 1% for Punjab. So this figure shows the adoption level S curve for the biofortified wheat variety in Haryana and Punjab. It depicts how the technology adopted by the relevant farmers changes over time. Haryana represents a typical S curve, whereas in Punjab it is flat, indicating the farmers' lack of interest and they are not aware of biofortified wheat varieties. Year-wise adoption level is presented here, and it is explicit that the peak adoption is reached at 7 years, that is 98% in Haryana, and 18 years, that is 2% in Punjab. This slide and the subsequent slide indicate the probable factors to change the peak adoption level. The ADOPT model advocates that modifying the identified indicator variables would significantly affect adoption based on the data entered in the model. So this can be achieved by intervention at the field level, like streamlining the extension and outreach activities for popularizing the potential benefits of adopting the biofortified wheat variety. Both standard delivery and information dissemination of informal dissemination of information significantly influence the rate of adoption. So in the case of Haryana, the most sensitive question for changing the peak adoption level is the enterprise scale, which asks the response for what proportion of the target households depend highly for their livelihood on the enterprise that could benefit from the innovation. So with 98% recorded response, the corresponding step up and step down response for the most sensitive question for changing the peak adoption level is also given in this slide. Similarly, the most critical question for changing the time to peak adoption level is also presented here, along with the step up and step down responses. So on the contrary, for Punjab, it is local, village or community cost and benefit with a 2% response. Here also the step up and step down response along with the most sensitive questions are given. We also carried out sensitivity analysis that investigates these potential changes and errors and their impacts on conclusions drawn from the model pertaining to the adoption of biofortified wheat variety in Haryana. Of course, for Haryana, it is given in this slide. And the next slide pertains to Punjab. The sensitivity analysis explicitly indicates the differential effects among the two states, that is Punjab and Haryana. So apart from sensitivity analysis, ADOPT also gives the S-curve sensitivity charts that show in what way the S-curve is foreseen to change when a single step alteration is made to the most sensitive question concerning the peak adoption level and time to near peak adoption. So this chart pertains to Haryana, and this slide shows the information regarding Punjab. Similar to the earlier analysis on sensitivity, this analysis of the S-curve also indicated regional differences in the study area. The differences in adoption diffusion across regions are accounted for by several factors like understanding of the technology, farmers' socioeconomic condition, psychology, and so on. So to conclude, we all know that globally biofortification is considered as a promising strategy to tackle the micronutrient deficiency and has dramatically improved in alleviating the hunger and poverty, especially after the Sustainable Development Goals. So in the recent past, considerable emphasis and thrust have been given to development as well as deploying biofortified wheat. So in this context, the prediction of adopting biofortified wheat assumes a lot of significance among the researchers, extension personnel, and policymakers to set strategies and framework for planning and development. So using the adopt model, we analyzed and predicted the likelihood of adoption and diffusion of biofortified wheat varieties among Haryana and Punjab farmers. The prediction results indicated that the extent of adoption and diffusion differed between Haryana and Punjab. The concern is there is no incentive for producers to cultivate biofortified wheat. The possible reason pertaining to the varying adoption rates are linked to several variables in understanding the biofortified wheat, which is indirectly attributed to the farmer's socioeconomic condition, psychology, etc., apart from internal and external factors. So with this, I wrap up my presentation, and I thank the ICR Indian Institute of Wheat and Barley Research for supporting this study, and also the BGRI for giving me an opportunity for this presentation. Thank you. Thank you.